Amid the ongoing coronavirus pandemic that has swept throughout the world, tensions have started once again between the two superpowers across the Pacific, the United States and China, who have been disputing several things amongst items such as the coronavirus response to the autonomy of Hong Kong. Nowadays, these tensions have spilled over into a new dispute over the trans-Pacific flights between the United States and China, with the United States Department of Transportation accusing the Chinese government of blocking the plans of United Airlines and Delta, both US-based carriers, from resuming their flights to China. In recent order by the United States Department of Transportation issued on May 22nd for Chinese-based carriers to file their flight schedule plans for services to and from the United States, the US DOT cited its counterpart in China, the Civil Aviation Authority of China, for not responding to the application sent by the two airlines United and Delta as they plan to resume flights to mainland China. The routes in question include Delta's plans for flight resumption to Shanghai from its hubs of Detroit and Seattle, along with United Airlines' planned flights to Shanghai from its San Francisco and Newark hubs, along with a service between San Francisco and Beijing, with both carriers setting their sights for a June start for these routes. The plans of both United and Delta are heavily dependent now on the Chinese aviation authorities, which the CAAC recently made some new regulations restricting access for airlines, especially foreign airlines, on international routes to and from China. In late March, the Chinese government implemented international flight limits for one route to be operated once weekly to any given country. When applied for foreign carriers, it limited their operations in China to one weekly flight to and from the country. As the basis for these amended flight schedules for airlines, with frequencies no more than what they were operating on March 12. Based on this guideline, it seems as though that the U.S. airlines, according to the U.S. Department of Transportation, are precluded from reinstating their flights to China, as the big three U.S. carriers, American, Delta, and United, suspended their services to and from China starting in late January, and only Chinese-based carriers such as Air China and China Southern, along with China Eastern, remain the only airlines operating flights between the US and China during that time. Despite this, there is another important information related to this, as cargo flights are not covered in this policy. So at present, while they're not operating commercial airline services for passenger flights, Delta and United are operating cargo flights to and from China. From the US perspective, the issue has been brought upon to the CAAC, citing provisions and amendments from the U.S.-China Civil Air Transport Agreement that was concluded in 1980 and has since been amended. In the filing, the U.S. DOT stated that, quote, "The agreement establishes, among other things, rights for the carriers of both parties to provide certain air services between the two countries. For airlines designated by the U.S. government, these rights include, among others, the right to operate combination and all cargo services with full traffic rights from any point or points in the United States to any point or points in the People's Republic of China open to scheduled international services, subject to frequency limitations in the case of certain Chinese points. The agreement also establishes that each party shall take all appropriate action to ensure that there exist fair and equal rights for the designated airlines of both parties to operate the agreed services on specific routes so as to achieve equality of opportunity, reasonable balance, and mutual benefit." In line with this agreement between the two countries, the U.S. Department of Transportation has highlighted its two main concerns that, number one, the notice imposes capacity limitations between those contemplated in the agreement, and number two, that the notice creates an environment that affords Chinese carriers more favorable treatment than U.S. carriers, thereby denying U.S. carriers of a, quote, "fair and equal opportunity to compete." Before the filing was released, the U.S. DOT acknowledges that there was discussions via call between the CAAC and the U.S. government on May 14, where the U.S. DOT stated its case, adding, quote, "In response, the CAAC informed the department that China is considering removing the March 12 scheduled precondition. However, the restriction to once weekly service on one route to China would remain in place." The grievances filed by the U.S. Department of Transportation has prompted the U.S. government to request the flight schedule information from the Chinese-based carriers, which would include information such as the type of equipment of aircraft to be used, along with the frequency and days of operation, the specific airports served at each point, and the time of arrival and departure at each point, with a deadline for these submissions by May 27, which has since passed as of the recording of this video. Now, this has become a political issue on both sides of the Pacific, as when asked during a recent press conference, China's foreign ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian stated, quote, "It is a special arrangement for international passenger flights out of the need of preventing and controlling COVID-19 during an unusual period. The measures are open, impartial, and transparent. All airlines, Chinese and foreign, are treated equally. In formulating them, Chinese authorities also drew from many other countries' practices." Regarding the specific request of the US DOT for the Chinese airlines flight schedules, he added, quote, "China opposes any possible US disruption or of restriction on Chinese airlines' normal passenger flight operations." This story is part of a much larger story of the ongoing tensions between the United States and China, and it's really unfortunate that now that the trans-Pacific travel scene will see the effects of this. Though I have to say it was at some point it would have been inevitable anyway. Since the US DOT has issued its notice and the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman addressed the issue, it apparently seems that there has been a new development in terms of air travel between the two countries, as the United States has reportedly been excluded from a list of countries that China would permit the operation of charter flights to and from the country. What is your take on this current situation, and do you see a resolution to this dispute? This has been Flights in Asia, highlighting the news and updates from the aviation and travel scene in the Asia Pacific. If you like this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Once again, thank you for watching and have a great day.